Before God ever puts you on display, he does a deep work in the shadows. You see, we love the spotlight, we crave the stage. But God is not impressed by outward show. He is invested in inward substance. Before he trusts you with visibility, he trains you in obscurity. There's a season where nobody sees you, nobody celebrates you, and nobody calls your name. But that's not punishment. That's preparation. Some of the most powerful people are forged in the most silent seasons. It's in the private places that God shapes your character. He trims pride. He strengthens discipline. He breaks cycles. He realigns your will. And it doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always make sense. Sometimes it feels like you're stuck, like you're buried. But listen, you're not buried. You're planted. And planted things grow in the dark. God is not rushing your process. He's not trying to get you there fast. He's trying to get you there already. You may feel hidden right now, but that hiding is holy. Don't despise it. Because what you call isolation, God calls incubation. Just because the crowd hasn't clapped for you doesn't mean heaven hasn't called you. God doesn't announce preparation. He just starts it. Look at David, anointed in front of his brothers, but sent right back to the sheep. Oil on his head, but dirt still on his hands. That's how God works. Just because he anointed you doesn't mean he's done working on you. God doesn't anoint finished people. He announced chosen people, and then he finishes them through preparation. So don't confuse anointing with appointment. The oil might fall early, but the seat won't open until the shaping is complete. Some of you are asking God, why haven't you elevated me yet? But God is saying, I'm still building the foundation. You can't see it, but he's digging deep. Because the deeper the root, the higher the rise. And if he lets you go high before you're grounded, the fall will be fatal. But when God builds it, he builds it to last. So the late nights, the lonely seasons, the silence, it's not failure, it's formation. See, we think preparation is passive, but it's not. It's warfare. God is cutting things off of you, teaching you obedience, training you to trust him when you don't see results, teaching you how to worship without applause, teaching you how to be faithful when nobody's watching. That's not a waste. That's weight. He's putting weight on you so you can carry what's coming. Because when the blessing hits, if you're not strong enough inside, the very thing that should bless you will break you. That's why this season feels uncomfortable. That's why it seems like doors aren't opening. Because God is doing more in you than he's doing around you. Don't try to escape the cave. Let God complete the work. Because when the moment comes, when the stage is set and the doors fling open, you won't just be ready externally. You'll be fortified internally. No compromise, no confusion, no collapse. So if you're hidden right now, thank God. If you're waiting right now, praise him. If nobody sees you, stay faithful. Because when God finishes working on you in private, he will bring you forward in power. You don't need to chase the spotlight when you've been saturated in his spirit. When God says it's time, nothing and no one can stop it. Until then, let him prepare you. Delay is not denial. Just because it's taken longer than you expected doesn't mean God has changed his mind. His silence is not his absence. His timing is not your timeline. See, we live in a culture of instant results. We want it now. We want it quick. We want it easy. But God doesn't microwave destiny. He slow cooks it. Because anything worth having is worth waiting for. And anything that grows too fast often lacks the roots to last. You might be in a waiting season right now, and it feels like everyone else is passing you by. You're watching people step into opportunities you prayed for. You're seeing doors open for others while yours remain closed. But don't get bitter. Get built. God hasn't forgotten you. He's reserving something that only you can carry. And when the time comes, it won't be a recycled blessing. It'll be tailor-made for your journey, your calling, your capacity. Sometimes the delay is divine, not because God is withholding from you, but because He's protecting you. You're praying for the promise, but God sees what the promise requires. He knows the pressures that come with promotion. He knows the weight that comes with the next level. And because He loves you, He won't let you walk into something you're not ready to sustain. He's not just preparing the blessing for you. He's preparing you for the blessing. Look at Joseph. He had dreams as a teenager, but he didn't walk in them until years later. There was a pit, a prison, betrayal, false accusations, forgotten promises. But all of it was part of God's preparation. The delay didn't cancel the dream. It qualified the dreamer. Because when the dream finally manifested, Joseph wasn't just a dreamer anymore. He was a leader. He had the humility, the wisdom, the endurance to carry what God gave him. So don't despise the delay. There's something God is doing in this waiting season that you'll need in the next one. You're learning to trust Him when nothing is moving. You're learning to stand when nothing makes sense. You're learning that your faith isn't built on outcomes. It's built on obedience. This kind of faith doesn't fold in the silence. This kind of faith doesn't crumble in the wait. It holds on, even when there's no evidence. We think God's delays are detours, but they're actually the direct route to destiny. He's not punishing you. He's perfecting you. Every delay is developing something deeper. Patience, maturity, discernment, endurance. He's refining your motives, purifying your heart, teaching you to rely on Him, not results. Because when the promise comes, He doesn't want you worshiping the door. He wants you trusting the one who opened it. And when God moves, He doesn't need a long runway. He can shift things in a moment. What took years of waiting can be changed in a day. But you'll miss the power of that day if you spend your delay complaining instead of preparing. So praise Him while you wait. Serve while you wait. Stay faithful in the field, because the same God who promised it is the same God who's perfecting it. And when the time is right, it will come to pass. It's not over. It's not denied. It's just delayed. And when it shows up, you'll understand why it had to take this long. You'll thank God for every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every silent night. Because what felt like delay was actually divinement. God is not late. He's not slow. He's strategic. And when He says yes, no man can say no. So hold on, the delay is not the end. It's the beginning of something better than you expected. Your pain has a purpose. It wasn't random. It wasn't meaningless. God doesn't waste anything, especially not your suffering. What you went through, what broke you, what crushed your spirit. He's using that. He's molding something out of what others left behind. You see, when you're called, you don't get to choose your process. The oil you carry comes with pressure. The greater the calling, the deeper the cutting. You didn't cry for nothing. You didn't survive for nothing. God is shaping your soul through your sorrow. He's stretching your faith through the fire. And the very thing that tried to destroy you is the thing God is going to use to deliver someone else. That heartbreak, that betrayal, that storm you didn't see coming. It's not just your history. It's becoming your ministry. We ask God to make us strong. And then life throws us into situations that test every part of us. And we think He's ignoring us, but really, He's answering the prayer. Strength isn't born in comfort. It's forged in conflict. You don't learn to trust God on the mountaintop. You learn in the valley, when everything you leaned on is gone and He's all you have left. That's where real faith grows. In the dark, in the pain, in the silence. There's something about pain that teaches you what peace really is. Something about loss that makes you value presence. Something about brokenness that opens you up to grace in a way success never could. You don't have to like the pain, but you do have to understand it. Because if you keep trying to run from it, you'll miss the power in it. Even Jesus, the Son of God, learned obedience through what He suffered. So who are we to think we'll reach destiny without pain? It's not punishment. It's preparation. God is not trying to destroy you. He's trying to develop you. And some of the greatest growth comes wrapped in the greatest grief. You didn't lose it all. You gained something deeper. You gained endurance. You gained clarity. You gained an anchor that doesn't move when the storm hits. Sometimes the pain isolates you, and you feel like no one understands. But let me tell you, God saw every tear. He heard every unspoken cry. And He's been walking with you through it all, even when you didn't feel Him. Because while pain may speak loud, purpose whispers through it. That's why you didn't quit. That's why you're still here. Something in you knows that this can't be the end. Something in you knows this has to mean something. And it will. Because what you went through is going to be somebody else's survival guide. What you overcame is going to be someone else's breakthrough. You didn't suffer in vain. You were being prepared. Every scar you carry tells a story. Not of defeat, but of deliverance. Not of what broke you, but of what built you. So let God use the pain. Let Him turn it. Let Him transform it. You're not just a survivor. You're a seed. And seeds don't look like much when they're buried. But when they break, they bloom. This breaking is not your end. It's your beginning. The pain is pushing you into purpose. The suffering is producing something in you that comfort never could. You don't have to understand it all. You just have to trust that it's working for your good. Because in God's hands, pain becomes power. Grief becomes growth. And every moment you thought was wasted will become a weapon in the hands of the one who's preparing you for something greater than you've ever imagined. Obscurity is not rejection. It's refinement. Just because nobody sees you doesn't mean God has forgotten you. Just because your name isn't being called doesn't mean your gift isn't being developed. God often does His greatest work in the most hidden places. You think you're being overlooked, but really you're being overshadowed by His hand. Because before He puts you on the battlefield, He trains you in the field. Look at David again. He was anointed as king, and instead of stepping into the palace, he was sent right back to the pasture. That's where God taught him how to fight. Before Goliath, there was a lion. Before the crown, there was the cave. Nobody saw those battles. Nobody wrote songs about those nights. But that's where God was building the man who could handle the mantle. That's where identity was shaped, character was tested, and trust was anchored. Sometimes the silence is the lesson. Sometimes being unknown is the assignment. Because if you can't be faithful when nobody is watching, you're not ready for influence when everyone is watching. Obscurity teaches you discipline without applause, prayer without platform, and worship without reward. It strips you of performance and builds in you a purity that can carry purpose. God will often hide you before he helps you rise. Not because you're not ready to be seen, but because he's still securing your foundation. You don't build tall without first digging deep. And the deeper the calling, the longer the preparation. You're not delayed. You're being deeply rooted. He's preparing you for pressure that hasn't shown up yet. He's teaching you how to hear his voice in the quiet, so you won't get distracted by the noise later. Sometimes we confuse obscurity with abandonment, but they're not the same. When God hides you, he's not punishing you. He's preserving you. He's keeping you from premature exposure. Because what good is a platform if your soul isn't ready for it? What good is promotion if your identity is still tied to people's opinions? In obscurity, God breaks the need for approval. He teaches you how to walk in purpose even when there's no applause. This is the season where God is stripping away everything that's shallow, everything that's surface, everything that can't survive the fire. And you're wondering why the opportunities haven't come, why the doors haven't opened, why the breakthrough seems stuck. But it's because God is doing a deeper work. You're being trained when no one is watching so you can stand when everyone is looking. That's why you've got to stay faithful in this hidden place. Don't despise it. Don't rush it. There's oil in the obscurity. There's wisdom in the wilderness. You're not being punished. You're being positioned. And when the time comes, when the stage is set and God says, now, you won't have to pretend to be ready. You will be ready, fully formed, fully focused, fully surrendered. You won't need to strive, push, or compete. The door God opens will be the one no man can shut. And you'll walk through it not because you chased it, but because you were prepared for it. The cave was never your conclusion. It was just your classroom. God does not elevate talent alone. He elevates trust. And he trusts those who have been through the shaping season without quitting. So stay in the field. Stay in the quiet place. Stay with the sheep. Because when the moment comes and Goliath shows up, you won't need a crown to prove who you are. You'll have confidence from the cave, strength from the solitude, and power from the preparation. And that will speak louder than any introduction ever could. God prepares before he promotes. He doesn't elevate just because you're gifted. He elevates when you're grounded. We think gifting qualifies us, but God looks for character. We think opportunity means arrival, but God sees the unseen battles we haven't faced yet. So before he opens the door, he strengthens the soul. Before he increases your reach, he tests your roots. Because the foundation isn't firm, the elevation will crush you instead of carry you. You don't get to skip the process. You don't get to fast track maturity. The spotlight is dangerous when you haven't been developed in the dark. God loves you too much to let you arrive before you're ready. He's not just building a platform. He's building a person. He's shaping someone who can carry his glory not just chase their own. And promotion without preparation isn't favor. It's a setup for failure. Look at Moses. He had the calling in his heart, but God sent him to the backside of the desert for 40 years. 40 years of preparation before one moment of confrontation. One burning bush, one assignment, one move of obedience. But that moment required decades of development. God had to break him, humble him, reshape him. Not because Moses wasn't called, but because he had to be prepared to lead. Deliverance wasn't about a man stepping forward. It was about a man who had been shaped in silence. We live in a world that celebrates speed, but God values strength. You may be watching people rise fast and wondering why you're still waiting. But speed without substance is a setup for collapse. Don't envy the quick rise. The deeper the foundation, the higher the structure. And God is doing a deep work in you, not to delay you, but to preserve you. Because when he promotes, he sustains. What God builds, he backs up. Promotion in the kingdom doesn't look like worldly success. It doesn't always come with applause or a stage. Sometimes God's promotion is peace in the storm. Sometimes it's wisdom in the wilderness. Sometimes it's authority that comes from private obedience, not public approval. And when God promotes, it isn't because you pushed. It's because you were proven. And make no mistake, you will be tested before you're trusted. You'll be asked to serve without recognition. You'll be called to sacrifice without reward. You'll have to forgive when it hurts and obey when it doesn't make sense. That's how God checks what you're made of. Not because he's trying to disqualify you, but because he's trying to make sure you won't crumble under the weight of the blessing. Because some blessings are heavy. Some doors come with warfare. Some influence comes with intense responsibility. And God will never hand you what you pray for if it will destroy what he's building in you. That's why it's taking time. That's why he's letting certain things fall away. That's why you're being stretched and refined. He's not punishing you, he's preparing you. So that when the door opens, you won't just walk through it. You'll remain on the other side. You won't need to fake it. You won't need to force it. You won't have to manipulate your way forward. You'll stand strong not because of who you are, but because of who he formed in the fire. That's why you can't quit. That's why you can't compare. Your process may look different, but the promise is still secure. And when God promotes you, no man can reverse it. No enemy can block it, and no delay can deny it. So keep growing in the quiet. Keep serving in the shadows. Keep trusting in the tension. Because when time comes and the weight of the promise rests on your shoulders, you'll be able to carry it. Not because it's easy, but because you've been prepared. When the time comes, you won't have to make anything happen. God will release it. You won't have to strive or struggle to prove yourself. The season you've been praying for, crying over, being stretched and tested in the dark for, will arrive not by your might, but by his mandate. Because when God says it's time, everything shifts. What was closed begins to open. What was stuck starts to move. What was hidden gets revealed. And it won't be because you forced it. It'll be because you were faithful while you waited. God doesn't forget those who endure. He doesn't ignore the silent sacrifices, the unseen obedience, the private tears. He remembers. And when he releases the next season, he does it with precision, no delay, no confusion, no doubt. It won't be a small step, it will be a release. And it won't be gradual, it'll be a suddenly. Suddenly the opportunity appears. Suddenly the phone rings. Suddenly the door you were never invited through opens and they're asking you to walk in. Not because of luck, not because of favor with people, but because God's preparation reached its full maturity. It's not random. It's right on time because God doesn't operate on your clock. He works on his word. And when the word matures, release happens. But you had to go through the hidden season first. You had to carry the delay. You had to survive the pain. You had to stay in the field. You had to let him prepare you. Because what's coming is too big to receive with small faith. What's coming will require everything he's been building in you. This is why you had to grow in the dark. Why he let you serve when no one said thank you. Why he let people walk away. Why he allowed delayed discomfort and disappointment. It was never to destroy you. It was to develop you. Because if God gave it to you too soon, it would have become a burden. But now, because you've been shaped, pruned, and proven, it's not just coming to you. It's being released through you. You're stepping into a season where you won't have to chase it. It will chase you. Doors will open that you didn't knock on. Favor will find you in places you weren't even looking. Connections, resources, instructions. God will align it all at the right moment. And here's the thing, it won't make sense to those who didn't see your process. They'll think it happened overnight, but you'll know the truth. You'll know the prayers, the fasting, the faith, the fight, the loneliness, the fire. You'll know this wasn't sudden. It was scheduled. God is strategic. He releases when the soil of your life is ready, when your character can hold the weight, when your heart is surrendered, when your motives are pure, when your spirit is sensitive. That's when the release comes, and it won't be random. It'll be a right. Because what God releases, he sustains. What he starts, he finishes. And what he opens, no man can shut. You didn't come through all that just to survive. You came through it to step into something greater. This is not the end, it's the emergence. You are rising, not because of who you are, but because of who he's made you be. The process has done its job. The shaping is complete. The delay is over. And now, not the release is here, not just for your benefit, but for his glory. So stand in it. Walk boldly. Don't shrink back. Don't apologize for what God has placed on your life. You were prepared for this, positioned for this. And when the release comes, you'll know it was worth every tear, every test, every silent night. Because what God releases, no one can contain. And what he has prepared you for will not just bless you, it will transform everything around you.